We've been driving through one of the most peaceful and beautiful mountain areas inside the National Radio Quiet Zone, the National Quiet Zone. It's become a refuge for at least several dozen people who suffer from EMF sensitivity and health problems who come here because it's legally restricted to have Wi-Fi and cell phone towers and a lot of things like that. And so people who definitely know they have effects from the technology have the best refuge in the country here.
We put up a video recently from Green Bank, West Virginia, which is a very small little town that sits in something called the National Quiet Zone because it has a giant radio telescope there. What that means is there are no cell phone towers, there's no Wi-Fi, there's no artificial EMF fields, you're not driving through 27 hotspots at any given moment. So it's funny because after we put up that video, people in the comments were asking what it was like to be in a place without Wi-Fi. And I realized, oh yeah, most everyone has no idea what that's like because we're all completely inundated and surrounded by EMF pretty much all the time. We're now living in the hottest period on Earth in regards to that because, back during World War II, they didn't have all this radar and microwaves and they weren't using all of this spectrum this way. Now it's increased, over 1 million-fold? So we're living in a giant science experiment right now about what that does to our bodies and how that's affecting people. And of course, we'll never know the synergistic effects of that mixed with, say, the exposure to chemicals in our food and water, things like that, vaccines. But it definitely was an interesting experience. And I didn't even set out to find that out. I actually went into it thinking if I feel any different, it might be psychosomatic. So I wanted to be really clear that I wasn't just having some placebo effect from having gone into the town. I was just really curious to be in a place. There's no place like that, especially here in the central Texas area. You have to go really far away out into West Texas to get to a place where your cell phone signal drops out. And even then, it's not like it's completely gone because as we've shown in videos before, you could be in a place where you have 0 bars out in the middle of nowhere, and yet if you dial 911, your phone call immediately goes through. So even when you think you have no signal, even when you think there's no Wi-Fi, even when you think there's no EMF, obviously your phone is still working, your cell phone is still working. So to find a place where you're really alone, to find a place that's really quiet, very rare.
So that's a real flagpole. And that's the gigantic cell phone antenna flagpole tower thing that the flag never really flies on it right because it's not a real flagpole.
That is not a flagpole. Clearly. The flag can't even wave in the wind. Look at it.
It's just kind of insulting.
So we get there, and I didn't notice it at first. We were actually there for probably a good 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so before we started to notice that there definitely was something different. Once we got closer into the middle of town, after just a few minutes, I did notice that my body seemed to relax. It was almost like taking a really deep breath, or that thing where you're asleep and you're sleeping in an uncomfortable position and then you realize it all of a sudden, and so you change positions and then your whole body just kind of just relaxed. And I guess because I'd become so accustomed to it, there was definitely this feeling in my head of clarity, which makes me think that now and most every other time I'm wandering around almost like I have cotton in my brain. Because it definitely seemed like mental clarity. The slight pressure that you seem to feel, and it's kind of like, it's like people who live in the stinky cat house and they have all the cats. they don't realize their house stinks, but other people who aren't around that all the time can smell it all the way out from the street. It's like that, except the feeling's in your head. The other thing that we noticed pretty much straight away was that everybody in that town was in a cheerful, good mood. Do you ever notice days where you could go out to, say, the grocery store or the gas station, and it seems just pervasive, like every person around you is in a horrible, foul mood, and they have a dirty look on their face, and they just seem pissed off at the world for no particular reason. And it's not just one person or two people, but seemingly every person you come across is grouchy. Everyone just woke up and had PMS all at the same time. Well, this town was the opposite of that. It was almost like the town you would find in a Hallmark movie. Everybody was friendly. Even people that from a distance you might think don't look so friendly, every single person was friendly. And it was interesting because just 10 miles down the road, we had stopped to get gas at some other town. And everyone there was grouchy. Everyone was grouchy. And you could tell they had a real attitude about outsiders and tourists and stuff. Because we stopped at a gas station and then we stopped at, like, I don't know, a Dollar General or something. And every person there, every person at the gas station, every person at the Dollar General, the locals that were hanging out outside smoking cigarettes, they all had these look on their face like, it's these freaking out-of-towners, they suck. I mean, it was just that you could feel that energy coming off of these people. You could feel it, that they were all ate up. Then you go into this zone and it's almost like passing through a Care Bear's life force shield or something. Everyone's smiling at each other and friendly and upbeat, and just like they probably get the best sleep of their lives every single night because their brains are not constantly being bombarded all night long by smart meters and Wi-Fi hotspots. Because it really does make a difference. And there have been studies they've done to show all the different deleterious effects of artificial EMF fields in all kinds of various ways. I think one of the biggest problems is its effects on decreasing melatonin, which is so important to your body repairing itself while you sleep. Anyway, I don't even think we fully noticed it when our heads stopped feeling that way. And it really was it was like we had more energy and just, I mean, we felt lighter. I guess that's the only way to describe it. We felt lighter. But I'll tell you what we did notice is when the feeling came back as we were leaving. We left town and nothing happens right away. We're in pretty good moods. We leave town. We get about 30 minutes down the road and both of us came down with really bad headaches. Not migraine level, mind you, or anything like that, but just real pressury kind of feeling. And once it sank in, it was pretty bad for a few hours after that. So there was a definite difference when we left. So some people had asked, they said, hey, you were in a place without Wi-Fi, what was that like? I thought it's just psychosomatic. We're just going to think there's a difference when really there's not a difference, but that's just silly. Of course there was a difference. There was a huge difference. It was kind of like the difference that happened in my household once I got rid of my smart meter. And that's actually going to be the focus of a future video. Yeah. So, huge difference. Actually, for about 2 days after we left that place, I was telling Aaron how much I want to move there. And some people have. It's still a very small town. Probably because you would have to be independently wealthy, really, to live there. I don't know what you could really do. It's such a tiny town in the middle of nowhere. I don't know how you could really live there and support yourself. But man, I was telling Aaron how much I wanted to move there. I was like, can you imagine how good we would feel all the time if we just had that feeling? What would be very interesting, and I didn't get a chance to do this, would be to spend the night and then wake up and see what it's like to sleep in a place like that. Because I bet it's pretty amazing. Anyway, if you are ever out in West Virginia, go to this town and hang out for a few hours. You'll see what I mean. I suggest everyone go there. See for yourself. It will amaze you, it really will.